Hello, hello. Welcome to the very first episode in 2023. I am just still blown away that we are now officially in 2023 and 2022. Feels like it flew by, but not. So what I wanted to do with this very first episode is talk about 2023 intentions and provide 5 questions that can really help you lean into what you desire this year and who you desire to be and what that looks like. And I'm going to walk you through what I wrote down for myself and a little bit of like reflections from my 2022. And let's get right into it. So, one of the things that I really wanted to ask myself was sounds very basic, but what do I really want this year? Like, what do I want to add to my life? Now, one of the key things that I feel like, when we think of New Year's resolutions or just like certain things that we want to change, or sometimes we really want to fix, or, just like have these big things in our life that we want to either remove. And I really want to flip the lens on that and allow ourselves to focus on strength based goals and intentions, really. And this is something that is based in the evidence as well, is really when we allow ourselves to look at what we want to add to our life. What do we want to do more of? Can really help us get into the growth mindset framework and really allow ourselves to focus on the positives and really see like where do we want to support ourselves and what actions we need to take to get there. And this is such a great place to start. So, what do I really want this year? And what do I want to add to my life? So, this is kind of like the first questions I really wanted to ask myself, because this is something that this is a year for me personally that I really want to focus on my health. And that includes like very different things, but really, which I'll break down in further detail in a bit. But in essence, I really want to become healthier. That is a big thing for me. So, one, I'm not looking at like, oh, I want to remove junk food, or I want to remove distractions, or I want to like fix or get rid of certain things. I'm actually really looking at what is going to help me become this healthy version of myself. So, some other things I wrote down was, adding proactive strategies in my life, which is really, I've noticed a lot when something happens, I can be really reactive. And I'm noticing that I really want to pause and have more systems in place, more tools in my tool belt, and not even having more tools, but utilizing them. And really allowing myself to be more active, explore more, and really be more present and in the moment. So these are things that I want to add in my life and have more of. And in all honesty, like all of the things I'm sharing, they all intertwine with each other, which I really love. And I think that is also a really big benefit when it comes to setting your intentions for the year and for your goals. So, those are some things that I wrote down for what I really want. And the big umbrella thing of what I really want is to be healthy. And that's my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health. Like it's all areas. Um, but that, in essence, is where I want to lean more towards. So the next one, the second question, is something really big and really powerful. And this one is, what stories am I ready to let go of? This one is so big because I realized that I was holding on to a lot of stories and a lot of things that were holding me back last year in 2022. And one of the ones that I was honestly really holding on to without realizing was I had the story of telling myself, it's too hard. And this honestly occurred in all areas of my life. Even if it was like cleaning the dishes after dinner, I was like, ugh, like it's too much right now. Or, wanting to get up and do a workout. I was like, ugh, it's too much. Like it's too hard. Like that might not have been the immediate thought. Like I might have given myself excuses in those moments and might have, veered around it. But ultimately, the big story behind all of that was I believed that it was too much. It was too much effort and it was too hard and it was too overwhelming. Like those were really the big stories that honestly held me back in so many ways last year. And I feel like I took baby steps and I took some big actions, but I wasn't necessarily consistent with it. Like, and I really only did it truthfully, I feel when I felt like it. So in the harder times, that was really where I struggled, and that it's too hard story was very loud. And so that is a story that I am ready, really ready to let go of this year. And some other stories that I told myself was like, I can do it later. There was a lot of procrastination. It has to be perfect. And oh, like even comparison, right? Comparison and imposter syndrome of overconsumption, of looking at other people and being on social media a lot. And even worrying about like what people will think. And so these are a lot of stories that I am ready to shed and let go of this year. So the second question for you is, what stories am I ready to let go of? And the next one is more of a check-in with yourself to say, what do I want to tighten up? So this one is really helpful because I feel like there's a lot of things that we are currently already doing. And I think that, yes, it's a new year, but at the same time, we're all navigating things. We're all still expanding ourselves and evolving and continuing to grow in our own ways. And so I think there's a beauty in also reassessing and looking at what are some areas that we're currently working on that we can tighten up. So for me personally, that was boundaries with social media. I noticed this past year, there was definitely a lot of times where I was very fixated on being on my social and, having an Instagram account as my coaching business. That was really something that I struggled to set more firm boundaries with. And so that is something that I am focusing on tightening up. I feel like I did set certain boundaries, but sometimes I didn't follow them and it felt a bit wishy-washy. And so I really want to be a lot more firm with those boundaries and also focus time and my time management. I think those were certain things for myself that I had a lot of support with this in the last few months of 2022 and I still do. So like I have a coach that's really supporting me in time management. And so that's something that I have done a really great job in the past few months of leaning into and building my tools with. And this kind of ties back into my boundaries with social media, where I think I got distracted a lot more. And so, really, just allowing myself to bring that awareness and notice where my attention is going and just really bring that in and tighten that up. So, that is question three for yourself. What do I want to tighten up? So, something that you have been already focusing on or navigating that you want to enhance or bring more support into. And that might involve, hiring a coach or getting an accountability buddy or talking with loved ones about it, bringing people in to understand how to support yourself in that. And the fourth question is, what am I excited about? I love asking myself this question because it's really leaning into the positives, the things that I am ready to step into, the exciting pieces of what I want to accomplish this year. And once again, when you allow yourself to really tap into that, it really brings more awareness into your brain as to what you want to focus on. And as I said earlier, we're really wanting to focus on our strengths. And something I'm also going to share with you is my values based goals for this year. And I say values based because a lot of the time we can focus on something very generic, something very superficial. And when we don't tap into our values, like connected with our goals, we can really lose sight of the bigger picture and our bigger why and our purpose behind it. And so that's a key element when we're focusing on our goals is it's not just for some external shiny prize, right? Like we really want to connect with our intrinsic motivation, which is essentially focusing on our values that are associated with that goal. And so this is just a fun question to ask ourselves of like, what am I excited about this year? Like, what are these things that I want to add to my life? Like, how does that create excitement? What does that look like for myself? And so for me, I'm really excited about getting healthy, like for myself and, like down the road, like Ian and I are definitely thinking about starting a family, not anytime soon, but like I am just, that's a future plan for us as well. And so I really am excited to get healthy for, hosting a body, a baby in my body. And so I'm super excited about that and, being more connected with Ian and enjoying my time off as well, like really leaning into the weekends and exploring and doing more getaways, and really just connecting with the new job that I have. I'm really excited to build connections and just really step into that role a lot more. And also building trust with my coaching audience and all of you. And just, I'm so excited to have this fresh start and really jump back into my coaching business and share in new ways with you guys. And I'm just like so excited to test the waters out and do different things in my business. So those are the things that I am excited about. So the fourth question is, what am I excited about? And the last question here is, what are my strengths? As I said earlier, I feel like a lot of the time we can get so focused on, oh, I want to fix this about myself. I want to change this about myself. And that can lead down the rabbit hole of, potential shame or really looking at areas that we're wanting to get rid of about ourselves. And we lose sight of the positive connections we have with ourselves and our own abilities. And I think it's a really beautiful thing to allow ourselves to step into what our strengths are, because this is really what's going to propel us forward in our goals, in our dreams, in our passions. And when we focus on what we want to get rid of and what we don't like about ourselves, that's going to brew these, connections with ourselves from either a fixed mindset where it's like, oh, I have to do it this way, or I'm not, good enough. And we don't want to get into this habit of creating those stories. And when we look at change and what we want to change, if we look at it from the lens of where do I desire to be and how do I want to get there and what does that look like and what can help me get there, that is a way more powerful lens to really tap into and understand and build with yourself, because that's what's going to make long lasting change, is tapping into your strengths, problem solving, looking at the areas that you have awareness in and building that and learning. And really tapping into a growth mindset where you can see certain cracks or things that you would like to improve on from a lens of how can I support myself and what worked well in the past to support that versus I can't believe I did that, and having a shame cycle and beating ourselves up and pushing ourselves in our goals from that direction. That is not going to provide a long lasting component that once again won't really allow us to tap into this intrinsic motivation where we have this deeper connection with our soul, with our values, and who we strive to be. And so, really allow yourself like, what are my strengths? What am I good at? What tools do I already have in my tool belt? What things, what parts of my day, what routines do I already do that are going to set me up for success? So, like one of my strengths, like I wrote, like I do have a lot of tools and support, and I have a lot of awareness, and I take certain action, and I am smart, kind, honest, I speak from the heart, and I am very optimistic. And I honestly feel like I am trusting myself on a whole new level, and I'm so excited. And I know that deep down, that optimism and trust is really it is a strength of mine, and I want to tap into that more. I want to allow myself to say yes to that more. And I'm just so excited. And I think a lot of the time we might feel as though we don't have enough of something. And even just giving ourselves the space to say, hey, you know what? Like, these are things that I have been working on, and I'm on the journey and I'm in the process of learning more. And I think that's a beautiful way to lean into building our strengths too. And so another key one for me right now is like I have a really great morning and night routine, and I definitely have to tweak it. And, there's certain things that I fell out of, but I created a lot of solid pieces to my morning and night routine. And now it's really looking at my environment. And I have a lot of amazing tools and ways that I've set up my environment for success. So that is the fifth and final question. What are my strengths? So that is the 5 questions to really allow yourself to tap into if you are really wanting to set firm intentions for yourself for 2023. And you could always come back to this if you're not even really like interested in, doing goals right at the beginning of the year. This is a great episode to come back to either each month and or even months down the road and just really reassess um what you're wanting. And so that is what I've got for you today. Okay, and I wanted to give you one last quick accountability check in for myself in relation to my values based goals this year. So, there are 3 main sections that I am focusing on. One is simplicity and fun. As I mentioned to you guys earlier, I had the story of things are hard. And what that meant was I was really overthinking and overcomplicating so many little things in my life. If it was just doing the dishes, if it was going to do a workout, if it was simply getting up in the morning and doing my morning routine, like there were so many aspects that I was telling myself that it was hard. And so what's really allowing myself to catch that story is I'm so much more like hyper fixated on that to know, okay, that comes up majority of the time whenever something is like, oh, I don't really want to do that. And so I am basically creating the environment where I'm not overcomplicating, I'm not overthinking it, and I'm keeping things very simple. So now that I have this mindset where even if I tell myself things are hard, I'm tapping into, okay, how can I make this one simple and two fun along the way? Because that is really going to help me boost that support and excitement towards getting that thing done. And So now that kind of ties into my second one, which is proactive and present. So with this one, I really want to utilize the tools and resources that I have in the moment. There are a lot of times, like I will totally admit that last year I was really much like stuck in dwelling, and I very much had a freeze response. So, you've heard the survival response of like fight or flight. There also is the freeze response, which is really like you shut down. And I realized that I thought I was flighting. Like I thought that I was avoid and run away, but I really was shutting down. And because of this, I realized in the moment I wasn't really tapping into supporting my nervous system in those moments. So I want to be able to problem solve and breathe through those moments and be present in that moment and allow myself to move and connect with my body. And then from those places, set myself up for success with proactive strategies to problem solve and really check in with myself so that next time I'm supported and know how to move through that. Um, and that's my second one. And then the third one is healthy living. So this one is like my big overarching one where I'm really focusing on my nutrition and fitness. And I'm so excited because I have a nutrition and fitness coach for the entire year of 2023. And I'm super excited about this because once again, going back to the story of like, oh, it's way too hard, it's way too complicated, it's way too overwhelming when it came to learning about nutrition. I like avoided it like the plague. Like I very much was like, I just don't understand nutrition. And so now I'm really allowing myself to say, no, that's no longer the story that is going to lead my life. And I want to learn. And what better way to have somebody, which is an expert in my corner, to look at my actual personal nutrition and individualize it for me as well as my fitness. And so I'm super excited for this, and I also will have like clear routines for good sleep, and this is really going to support me. And once again, having that movement and practicing and being more active will then also help me being present and proactive in my life. And so once again, all of these really tap into each other. And so I'm really excited to go on this journey this year. And I'm going to have you guys along the way and really speaking it out to the universe so that I do have this live visual accountability, public accountability, so that I can really navigate this and show you guys how I am moving through this throughout the year. And so that is what I have for you today. If there is anything else that you guys are interested in relation to goals, goal setting, really understanding how to break down a value-based goal, these are just my overarching ones. I have like more specific smaller habits that I am focusing on, but I wanted to just share those general ones for you guys today to keep you in the loop. And if you are wanting support with this, I have my Redefine Collective. It is a year-long mentorship, and you basically get me in your back pocket, and we have 2 monthly calls each month, and there's a massive library of resources, a beautiful community. And if you are ready to really build your solid foundation of navigating these things for yourself, come join us and I'll chat with you next week.